Hello and welcome. My name is Matthias Weniger, curator and head of provenance research at the Bavarian National Museum in Munich. I am at present at the Jewish Museum in Jebenhausen near Göppingen to restitute a silver cup that had belonged to Hermine Bernheimer. Hermine had come from Göppingen, where her family owned an important liquor business before the rise of Hitler. The silver cup belongs to 10 tons of silver Jewish citizens of Bavaria and beyond had to bring to the Munich pawn house in spring 1939, against a compensation that referred just to the material, not to the historical, emotional, or religious value of the pieces. Many of the owners of these objects did not survive the Nazi persecution. Hermine Bernheimer was murdered at the Theresienstadt concentration camp on 7 October 1943. A sister survived Theresienstadt. A niece and a nephew were murdered in Auschwitz. Hermine's descendants decided to donate the cup to the Jewish Museum, established at Hermine's old hometown, Göppingen. The present day's descendants are spread over 3 continents: Australia, the US, and Europe. They are connected to the ceremony via this Zoom link. A representative, Naomi Karp, will later speak to us from Washington. The cup will be handed over to Dominique Gerdt-Sieber, director of the archive and the museum of the city of Göppingen. Also with me are Marlena Valeria Alderete and Katharina Sophia Hart, 2 colleagues from Stuttgart who work on the parallel documentation about the Nazi silver theft there. The Stuttgart documentation is housed today at the Wirtschaftsarchiv Baden-Württemberg. It kindly authorized me to show some of its documents in this presentation. We are here in the Jewish Museum of Göppingen to give the cups that belonged to Hermine Bernheimer, whom several family members are present, a permanent future home, as you have decided. The cup will go to the case that is in front, to the right side, that will be adopted to it. Here's the cup that is almost the only physical reminder of your family member, Hermine Bernheimer. Until a week ago, it was with about 100 other silver objects in this case in the Bavarian National Museum in Munich. It's difficult to spot it because it's really small. It's in the second row from beneath the object most to the right, that small one here. It was the last among the last objects that the Bavarian National Museum bought from the municipal pawn house in Munich. In this case, this time in May 1940 already. So there were 4 acquisitions altogether. The cup is a third on this page. Here above, the third object. This was the number given to the objects by Hermine Bernheimer. The RV is for Abgabeverzeichnis, and the first number is for Kulturgut, so object of cultural value. These were given separate numbers. And you see the S is for silver, and Becher is cup, 65 grams, and the museum paid 13 Reichsmark for it. Hermine Bernheimer is from Göppingen, where we are now, but she moved to Munich in 1929 to live with her sister Rosa Frey, who also had to give objects to the pawn house, a larger amount of objects than of higher value than Hermine did, altogether 140 Weissmark of value. You see her here in that list we recently found with a number quite close to the number of Hermine Bernheimer, so maybe on the same days she gave in her objects. And we recently also found some objects of nephews, pages on the objects of nephews of her. They also gave their silver to the pawn house, and Alfred Frey and Dr. Leopold Frey, and I'm glad and touched that some descendants of Leopold Frey are among us today. Leopold and Alfred Frey managed to escape Germany, to go into emigration, while Rosa and Hermine failed. They attempted, but their attempts came too late. Hermine died in Theresienstadt, was murdered there 1 year after her arrival in 1943, while Rosa survived the camp, but died then one year later in 1946. Alfred and Leopold Frey claimed their objects after the war, so there's more documentation on them. Why for the objects of Hermine and Rosa, apparently never a claim was done. Today, this morning, I have been in Stuttgart, where parallel documentation on the silver theft on German Jews has been identified quite recently by someone who is here with me in the room. You will see her later, Miss Alderede. She accompanied me, as well as Miss Hart, who is working at the State Archives, also on the silver, and they are trying to do a parallel project. So we are all hoping that this is not the end, but rather the beginning, or at least very much in between what we are doing here today. And this will definitely, as far as our museum is concerned, be just one restitution among many others who still have to follow. So this is the documentation, part of the documentation in Stuttgart, and we used this morning to look for the files of Eugen Bernheimer, who is, and we have several descendants of him present as well on that Zoom. Hermine had lived with Eugen until 1929 in Göppingen, and when Eugen, or later Eugene, married, she went to Munich to live with her sister Rosa and the nephews and nieces from the Frey family. And we found documentation on Eugen Bernheimer. He also had to give in silver. You see him here with this defamatory second name that Jews were forced to take during the NS times. Eugen Israel Bernheimer in Göppingen, Geislinger Straße 3. He was the head of the famous Borato company that his father had established and made flourish. And so here's the page on his objects. And in April 1939, he writes to the pawn house asking that he gets the money, that is the compensation, the small compensation that was assigned to the owners of the precious metal objects, according just to the weight, not to the historic or art historic value, but just to the weight. So he asked for the small compensation because he is immediately awaiting his emigration and in urgent need of money for that. And so he really asked to get that money promised to him. And we seized the opportunity to place his sister's cup, who had lived with him for so long, on this document signed by him, so that the siblings who could not see again, and he never had a chance to see Hermine again after his emigration, to bring them together in that final moment. You'll see that the cup has a certain damage on one side. This is an old damage that was already described when the piece entered our museum. We do not know where it comes from. On the cup, there is an inscription that says that the cup was given to remember, you can't see it here, but you see it in our documentation, to remember a baptism, so a Christian baptism. And the godfather came from Esslingen. And Esslingen is just the next town. We passed with the cup through Esslingen just before arriving here. And the cup was done in Stuttgart, so also just 40 kilometers away, where we looked this morning on Eugen Bernheimer's file. So it comes everything quite close together. And actually the cup witnessed quite a lot of things over the last days. When I took it from my office home on Friday, I bumped into a demonstration of Ukrainians in Munich, and I had to think about the sad fact that this cup has to be aware or be present when a new war is raging in Europe, and there are again forced deportations, there are camps, and even some Holocaust survivors who survived Hitler's camps have ended their life in this present confrontation. Okay. I give hand over to Dr. Sieber, the head of the Göppingen Museums, who will take over the object.
Good morning, everybody.
Hi.
I have to express my heartfelt thanks to donate the silver cup to the Jewish Museum here in Göppingen, Jebenhausen. We will show the silver cup here in the section which deals with the memorial culture, with the story of the juristical judges and the time after the Nazi regime in Göppingen. And we have here in this glass cabin 2 books which were restituted some years ago in 2016, and we will modify this section and will show the silver cup there, which is one theme, and I think it fits in a wonderful way together. So I have to say, in the name of the city of Göppingen, thank you very, very much to donate the silver cup here. It will return to his old home, to Göppingen. And yeah, it's great, it's wonderful, and it's great for our museum here. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't know how that works on the Zoom, but I have now the documents that Noemi has signed in your name and that our director has signed, and that Dr. Sieber has to sign before he gets it. And while we are and while we are working on that, I show you Ms. Alderete and Ms. Hart, who are doing the research on the silver documents from Stuttgart, working at one of the museums here and of the state archives at Stuttgart, and they're trying to establish a similar project, and I'm very grateful for the cooperation we have among German museums, among the museums of Munich, the town museums, the state museums. Now the town museum can start as well to return their objects, since we found the documentation for which we looked for years and years, and it was always said that it is lost, and we retrieved much of it over the last weeks, so they can start to restitute their objects as well. And in Stuttgart, they have a very detailed documentation. You have seen a few items of it, and there it is more difficult to establish the link to the objects, but we hope to proceed on that as well, and that other German cities will follow. Altogether, the silver was handed over in 69 places all over the Reich and some occupied territories in the today's Czech Republic, and of course Austria was part of the process. So the Austrian towns also received silver from the local Jews. So immense mass of objects were handed over at that time. In Munich alone, 10 tons of precious metal objects. And in Stuttgart, I was amazed that there were even more Jews who gave over their objects, almost 3,000. In Munich, just 2,306 documented cases. So the number is even higher in Stuttgart. And so we hope that this work can proceed over the next years. And now, since Dr. Sieber has signed, I will hand the object over to him. I hope the camera is not so well that you don't see how we are here all transpiring, because it's extremely hot here as well. I know it's very hot on the East Coast, the same. But, over this small object, and Dina, you will get photos separately on that. And I think Noemi wanted to say something.
Yes, thank you very much. I do want to say something. So as most of you know, I'm Naomi Karp, and I'm in Washington, D.C., and I'm one of 8 grandchildren of Eugen Bernheimer, who was the youngest brother of Hermine Bernheimer. So I'm speaking today on behalf of all of Hermines Bernheimer's family members, many of whom we, or at least my cousins and I in the United States, didn't know existed until we began this journey of the silver cup. And I have to say, before continuing with my brief remarks, that I'm really overwhelmed to hear the new information that you shared with us this morning, Matthias, about your research on my grandfather, Eugen Bernheimer, who we did know very well as we were growing up. I had no idea that he had also turned in silver. I can't wait to learn more about that, and I look forward to that. But I have to say, it does give me an even bigger lump in my throat to learn that, you know, not only was it this great aunt who I never met, but also my grandfather, who I knew well, had turned over objects, and that he was appealing for this small pittance of money to help with the emigration of the family. It's very moving to me to hear that.
We learned this morning. I did not know either, and he did not ask for compensation for it after the war, as so the same situation as for Rosa and Hermine. He asked for compensation for the factory, as you know, but for the silver, no claim was made apparently. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Naomi, you are frozen. Sorry, Naomi, is there a problem with your internet connection? Naomi?
No.
Yeah.
It seems there is a problem.
Sorry, should not have interrupted her. It was just an addition.
Okay.
But while we are waiting, I think she starts new. I also greet the family members that are in Australia. It was not a good moment. Not a good moment for June Seeley, who is on the West Coast.
No, that's okay. It's 9:30 in the evening.
Yeah, in Australia, it's fine.
In Australia.
But not on the West Coast of the States. It's in the middle of the night. But,
no, okay. But in Australia, it's 9:30 in the evening.
For Naomi, it's very early. And for you, and Paul Falkenstein is also in Australia, if I'm correct?
Yes.
So
that's right.
For you, it's a late evening. Yeah.
I'd like to know, can we see where the cup is going to be displayed? Is that possible?
Yes, I will try with the camera. So it will be, in this case, on the right-hand side, there's now information on the return, on the recovery of objects stolen by the NS state. And there are the two books Dr. Sieber mentioned. And so the cup will be a much better illustration yet of the history.
Right. Okay, lovely. Thank you.
And we will send you pictures when we had modified them.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Matthias, can we also get
Yes.
Can we also get copies of the slides that you showed when you're finished? You know, you can send to Naomi and she'll forward it to us.
Yes.
The slides that you, the pictures you showed us earlier.
I have to ask the Stuttgart people because
Sorry,
I took pictures just in the morning.
Our internet is having problems. Can you see me now?
We are happy to see you again, Naomi.
Yeah.
Naomi, I had just added that that I did not know about these files either, and that Eugen asked for compensation for the factory or tried to get it back, but did not ask for the silver after the war, as far as we are aware, and as far as the ladies have studied up to now. Okay, now back to you, Naomi. Sorry.
Okay, I apologize for that. I don't know what's going on with our internet. Hopefully it will continue okay. So most importantly, I just wanted to say that I speak on behalf of Eugen's three daughters, Beata or B, Annalisa or Anne, and Margot, pronounced Margot here in the USA. B, Margot, and Anne lived through the terrible persecution by the Nazis, but fortunately escaped, as did their parents, some possessions, their wits, their drive, and their ability to move on with their lives, not without scars and pain. My cousins and I have often called the sisters tough old birds. B and Anne each lived to be 99. My mother, Margot, 97, is still with us, but she has advanced dementia and is bedbound due to a stroke. She would be so amazed at today's event and would have had many facts to share and undoubtedly many facts to correct. She's the one who told me about her Tante Hermine and her fate. And as we all know, she died at age 73 in Theresienstadt. Today's handover of Tante Hermine's cup is amazing in so many ways, but it's also hopeful, a precious sentiment in today's disastrous world. 83 years after German Jews were forced to turn over their objects of value to a totalitarian regime, a government employee, Matthias Weniger, put years of effort into finding Hermine's heirs and putting the fate of the silver cup into the hands of our family. Cousins from around the world came together in the middle of a plague on a handful of computer screens to decide upon the cup's most fitting home. And I'm so happy to see some of those cousins who we didn't know existed before joining on this call. A museum curator in my mother's hometown recognized how this little cup, its history mostly unknown, could keep the legacy of Göppingen's Jews alive by including it in the museum's permanent exhibit. The stars finally aligned. None of the family members who have been involved in the Silver Cup saga over the past 3 years knew Tante Hermine, and she had no children. But we've studied her face in old photographs, and we know she was devoted to caring for our grandfather and to others in the family. We feel the pain of her last years on earth in our guts. May she, our other persecuted family members, and their fellow victims never be forgotten. Finally, I want to underscore our thanks to those who made this happen, and there are many, but I'll just mention a few. Dr. Sieber, thank you for all of the work you do in Göppingen to keep the Jewish Museum going, and for finding a home for this small object that has so much meaning for our family. In 1999, I visited the museum with my husband, my children, my mother, and Aunt B, and I look forward to visiting it again. Dina Gold and Jean Meyer of B'nai B'rith magazine, thank you for recognizing the importance of the restitution of this cup and other objects at the Bavarian National Museum, and for your role in hastening its return. I hope we'll keep in touch. And finally, Matthias. Since that day in January of 2020, when I received your most incredible first email, I have been so grateful to you for your tremendous dedication to undoing the wrongs of the past, alongside of all your other many duties at the museum. You are a true friend, and I can't wait to meet you in person when the time is right. So thank you so much, and thanks for the opportunity to speak and to be at this really moving ceremony. I have a few photos just to give a little color from our side. I'm going to try to share my screen and see if I can pull them up.
I think I prevented others from sharing after that experience. As you know.
No, it looks like I can. It looks like.
Oh yes, yes, it works. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I have to just find the right. Let's see.
Yeah, I can see.
Good. No.
So, okay, so these are some photos of the 3 Bernheimer girls on the left with their mother, in the middle impishly together, and on the lower right, I think B is missing from that photo, but it has Anne and Margot in some kind of gathering in the country. This is a photo of the 3 sisters at my mother's 90th birthday in New York, all looking very much themselves and alive and vibrant, and just wanted to share that with those who haven't met them. And then finally, these are 2 photos that we have with Tante Hermine on the left. It looks like it was in a photo studio, perhaps in Göppingen, but it could have been in Munich. And then on the right, I believe the photo was in Munich. The 2 older women are Tante Rosa on the left and Tante Hermine all the way on the right. Between them is a young Aunt B, and we're not really sure who the young woman on the left is, probably some cousin. So we have lots of other photos, but just wanted the folks around the world to see those, and thank you for that.
Would be good to have. Would be good to have the photo with the cup in the future. Yeah.
Very good.
And we can certainly share, Dr. Sieber, if there are any family photos that you would like to have, we can certainly send them to you as well.
Yes, thank you very much. That would be great. Yeah. Yes, yeah.
We can be in touch about that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there someone else who wishes to contribute from Australia, West, East Coast? Yes.
I think it was absolutely wonderful. I think it's been fantastic effort. It's taken quite a few years of hard work and effort, but to get it to you in the museum in Goppenheim, I think it's absolutely wonderful. I'm really thrilled that that's the end result. So thank you very much.
I have to apologize that the process took so long, but now at the end I'm glad, because as Naomi knows, and Dina knows, we have had quite some errors in the documentation, unexpected errors, and we would have restituted wrong objects to the wrong families. And so I'm glad we waited. In this case, fortunately, there was no doubt, and it was all definitely waterproof that we have the right object for the right person, although we do not know how this Christian object entered the Bernheimer family, maybe as a piece of collection, really, or maybe via some Christian friends. It was the places point to the vicinities of Göppingen, where she spent much of her life, but we do not really know how this cup came into her possession.
Yeah, certainly, sure.
But Frank Jacobi Nelson also wanted to say something.
Hello, I'm Frank Jacobi Nelson. I'm a sort of uncle of Naomi's. Naomi's grandmother and my mother were sisters in Göppingen, born in Göppingen. And I might be the oldest person taking place here with 92 years. So I want to make an offer. I shortly finished a sort of family chronicle with a lot of information about my mother's family in Göppingen. And whoever reads German is welcome to have the PDF version of it. And I would suggest that you contact Naomi and tell her and give her the details, and then I'm going to mail it to whoever wants it. And there are also two family trees. So if anybody wants to do some family research and reads enough German, you're welcome to share it. Thank you.
And I have to apologize. I did not introduce also Mr. Rubner is among us, who is a friend of you. And who is,
Hallo Frank, grüß dich. Schön, dich zu sehen und zu hören.
And who has worked here on the Jewish heritage and on the Stolpersteine, on the memorial plaques in Göppingen. Wollen Sie was sagen?
Ich habe ja bekanntlich keinen Anteil an der Restitution des Bechers und freue mich nur, dabei zu sein.
He says he has no part of it, he is just happy to be present.
Yes, Klaus has done a lot of the details I know about our mother's family was found out by Klaus. So he has a very important part in my family chronicle. So it's really, I'm very happy, and thank you very much, Naomi. I mean, it's a great thing you organized all this. Thank you very much.
Well, Frank, we're so thrilled that you could join us. And Klaus, I just want to say thank you as well. I know that when my mother was a bit younger and a lot more sharp, she had correspondence with you that I've seen over the years. So, no, we haven't met. I feel like I know you, and perhaps one day I will get to meet you. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing there in Göppingen.
And the two ladies did not contribute either, except for finding the Eugen Bernheimer silver document. But on them is a challenge to continue the work for the future and find more, and hopefully bring the Stuttgart silver home to families as yours as well. Okay, someone else who? Then we would slowly go to close and let June Seeley sleep again on the West Coast, and the Australians go to bed soon. And as we are very German, we have more bureaucracy, we have more documents to sign yet, and then we will finish the handover. Take one more photo for you, Dina, but I do not want to cut if someone. I thank to all of you for taking part. Sorry for these small technical issues we have, but it's a bit complicated to have the machinery set up in a place that is not yours. And I also met Dr. Sieber the first time today.
Yeah. Matthias, you did a wonderful job. You made it happen all the way, but you made it happen today also. So you don't need to apologize. It was really wonderful. And I know, at least for me, just of tremendous significance in my life. So I'm very grateful to everyone. And it's wonderful to see all my cousins from around the world on the screen here. Thank you.
Thank you to all of you again. Yeah.
We'll be in touch.
We will see each other, Naomi, definitely.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye, Frank.
Bye.
Good to see you.